Hi, my name is MacDonald Scott.
My name is Suzanne Narain.
My name is Stuart Schussler.
My name is Charmine Khan.
My name is Leslie Wood, and I was arrested as part of the Indigo 11.
On November 22nd, 2023, I was startled out of my sleep by my dog barking uncontrollably. I was unsure of what was happening. I went to the window to find out what was going on. I pulled the curtains, and to my surprise, my house is surrounded by approximately 10 police officers shining their flashlights into my window, yelling at me to open the door. It looked like a scene from CSI. I'm still super traumatized from this moment and think about it every time I walk to the door or go by my window or hear my dog bark uncontrollably.
I wasn't at home when the police raided my house. I was in Windsor, getting ready to take my daughter across the border into the United States for Thanksgiving. Just as I put her in the car to go to Detroit, I got word that my house had been raided at 5 a.m. that morning. I was that close to being arrested in front of my daughter, pulled out of the car, and who knows what they would have done with her while I was held in custody.
So some people have asked me, Charmine, what is it like to be woken up at 5 a.m. with 10 police officers in your bedroom? And the first thing I can say is your sense of safety and security when you're asleep is gone. I had suddenly woken up and I first thought that someone had broken into my home and was intending to harm myself and my partner. When I realized it was the police, all I could do was remain compliant and steady to ensure that I didn't threaten the police officer and give him an excuse to maybe hurt myself or hurt my partner. After spending a day in jail, I came to my home in complete disarray. All my clothes were out of my drawers. My personal belongings were strewn everywhere or were missing. And they also seized my car. I just couldn't make sense of why this was happening to me over an accusation of graffiti.
I opened my door to the sight of a bunch of police officers, one of whom was holding a battering ram about to break my door down. They barged in and put myself and my partner in handcuffs without telling us what was going on, whether we were being arrested. My partner kept asking for a warrant, and they told them not to be lippy. They pulled my cell phone out of my pocket and began searching our home. They also pulled a friend who was staying with us out of bed. They had to ask to put clothes on.
When 7 police raided my house, they woke my co-parent in the middle of the night, seizing any laptop, any phone they could find. They seized a sticker of a Palestinian flag as so-called evidence of what they were loudly, repeatedly calling a hate crime without ever substantiating it.
I wish never again to hear that someone's door was broken down in the name of stifling political expression. If we lose our case, it will open the door to police strong-arm tactics like those used against us to be used against BIPOC, Indigenous, and other communities that have been traditionally targeted by the police.
I kept asking the police what they were doing there, and they remained elusive, saying things like, "Oh, you know what you did," as they rummaged through our home, searching for who knows what, and taking a video recording of every corner of our house. I asked to use the bathroom. They uncuffed me, but a female police officer stood in front of me and watched me while I used the washroom.
For months after the raid, I would wake up in the early mornings unable to sleep. I would be disturbed by the slightest creak of my house or even movements of my cat. I eventually had to see a counselor to get over the sheer terror of being awakened by armed officers in my room. It's been over a year, and to this day, I can't sleep through the night. I still wake up in the early mornings in sheer terror, even at the smallest of sounds.
I spent my Thanksgiving in a 4-foot by 8-foot cell instead of sitting around the table with my family. It was freezing cold in that cell, and once they finally released me, I went out to the park, relaced my shoes, got back in the car, and started the drive to see my family.
It was while I was waiting in the police cruiser that I learned that under nightfall, over 80 police officers from across the city were being deployed to execute these night raids and ludicrous charges.
The Palestine Solidarity Movement is being policed and prosecuted in unheard of ways. Freedom of speech and assembly are being threatened that should be of concern to any of us fighting for justice. It's imperative that we fight back, but doing so is expensive. The Toronto Community Justice Fund allows us to sleep at night. The Toronto Community Justice Fund shows us that we are not alone and that our community has our back. Frankly, our legal costs are daunting. Mac and I have already spent over $60,000 to defend ourselves against these charges and push back against the criminalization of dissent. I'm so grateful for the Toronto Community Justice Fund.
I'm fighting for all communities that are fighting for liberation and justice. I ask people to join me in closing the door on these tactics and in letting the police know that these tactics will only lead to stronger and more resilient resistance.
The impacts of this kind of criminalization have been very intense and very disruptive. So I have darker skin and a Muslim name, and because of the media attention, I was flooded with racist and Islamophobic hate messages. So with myself being named so publicly in this action, I've received a social punishment that no court process will ever clear. And so I've been working for over a year, not only to clear my name, but to also expose a system that would attack grassroots activists who are organizing to bring attention to human rights violations and violence. There is absolutely no justification for these charges and the actions by the police. So I ask you, please donate to the Toronto Community Justice Fund to help activists also facing these kinds of charges and criminalization.
We must find the resources to push back against the silencing of those who are fighting against a genocide. Please donate. Thank you for helping us to take care of one another.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.